Child sacrifice supply chain issues, huh?
Yeah.
What do you think's causing that?
Oh, well, no abortions. No abortions.
Oh, wow.
No abortions.
No abortions.
So the Supreme Court, well, okay.
So what
So a
was
Politico, right?
Mhm.
Politico apparently got some leaked information from the Supreme Court because there was
a lot of leaked information going out.
It was
days.
yeah, it was a draft opinion from one of the Supreme Court justices that they were potentially going to vote to overturn Roe versus Wade. First thing is that's not supposed to happen. Information from the Supreme Court isn't supposed to be leaked. That's
At
like
all.
hella illegal. One. Secondly, this came from February, so whoever had this had it in February and just decided to leak it now, which is very
interesting,
convenient.
Right. Which is which is the point I was trying to make. Like, there's a lot of leaks happening, and this one specifically, someone on Twitter was like, either they released this to test the public's opinion or they did something. But my vote is this whole thing is just like the next thing that people have to jump the bandwagon on.
Okay, so there's a few things, right?
Yeah.
One thing I can't really say because we're still on YouTube. But there's something that happened that we're going to talk about off of YouTube that happened in this week also that was probably also, one of the things that they're trying to like take everybody's attention away from. And I guess I can say it's related to the
event
shot. Yeah, I'll say that. It's related to a certain medical procedure that was forced upon everybody to get, like over the past few months, the certain, the certain thing that you also got and, that type of thing, but you only got one instead of, 3 of them. You only got one. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, it's related to that. I'm just not even trying to say it because YouTube. We'll wait. We'll say it afterwards. But after we get off YouTube. And then also, what was the other thing? So there was that. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of stuff. But I think mainly that. Mainly that because when we go and talk about it, you'll see why that. But, yeah. So, the other thing. Yeah, this was the thing I was forgetting. The other thing, right, is this is going to stir up all the dumbasses to start doing the whole thing where they attack people and start burning buildings down and then forcing people to do things that are going to go against their best interests because of their cowardice, and therefore they're going to be able to fortify another election.
Oh, great.
Again.
Another fortification.
Because guess what? It's an election year again.
Yeah, it's all linked to the election.
It's election year again. It's like not presidential election, but it's the midterms, and it's apparently a pretty big one. So they needs to have their people out there
forcing
fucking shit up. I'm just gonna say I'm just like trying to make sure I don't say something wrong because we're still on YouTube. So I'm like
trying so hard.
Okay. Yes, but yeah. So first, this happened. It came out. All the people started going crazy.
On abortion?
Huh?
On the show at some point, maybe in a bite.
Probably, yeah.
Just to get air out the opinions. To be honest, I don't know. I can't really have a strong opinion about abortion though, because
I mean, what?
It seems like in at least the abortion case, it just seems like everyone loses the argument in the end.
Well, I mean, what is your view on it? Like, what do you think? Like, you're like, oh, they can do whatever they want with their bodies, or, what is it? What you just are like, I don't know. I don't
think it should be a thing that has to exist.
Like, abortion shouldn't really.
It should not exist, but it does, and because it does, and because people are stupid. I think it should be legal, but not because it's moralistic for the person getting the abortion. In a way, I think it's more moralistic because you're bringing life into the world, and if it's a person that wants the abortion, it would probably be better for the child to not exist.
Okay, here's another opinion based on that. So let's say Okay. First prerequisite, right? In order for you to get an abortion, that means you have to get pregnant.
Yeah.
And okay, their argument is that rapes and incest and you know all that stuff, but we already know that that's like less than like 1%.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna ignore all of that. The reason that the people get people get an abortion is like at least over like 92 or 90% at least is because they just are just making bad decisions and then they get pregnant.
There's a lot of videos out there
they don't want to get
of women. Like you've shown a few.
Yeah.
You've already
dancing
shown a few.
because of like, oh, I'm getting me an abortion
rape
today.
Exists, yeah.
And you're like, okay, you should have just not
in today's
gotten
world,
pregnant.
like pregnancy is not a thing that it's something that we can easily avoid.
Yeah. And they just choose not to.
They just choose to make the bad decisions.
And so my thing, like before, like years ago, I was like abortion. I'm like, I don't know anything about abortion. So it's kind of like, I don't really know. I guess if you want to get one, I was like, what? Because I didn't know anything about abortion. I was just like, I guess you just
So do you think
stop
that
the baby.
abortion
But
shouldn't
now,
be a thing that people are allowed to have?
Now I think it should be just illegal. I guess in like illegal, but like, right. I'm not really big on government intervention on anything, but I do kind of believe it falls under murder. I do believe that because
that's fair.
Think of it this way, right? In order for you to have an abortion, you have to get pregnant, which means that you have to, get with somebody and get pregnant. So if you do that and you just don't prevent yourself from getting pregnant or do the things to prevent yourself from getting pregnant, then that means you've invited that to happen. And then now you're like, oh, I don't want the inconvenience, so I'm just going to kill the baby. And then you're saying, my body, my choice. Well, you're technically not. It's not your body that you're killing. You're dismembering a baby's body, like inside of you are ripping it to shreds and then mushing it up and getting it.
Right.
That's not your body. That's the baby's. But that's like me inviting somebody over to my house. Like I invited somebody, hey, come over to my house. And then they come over to my house and I'm like, you know what? I really don't want this person in my house. So instead of kicking you out, I just kill you. I just kill you and then throw you into the dumpster.
That's an interesting.
I know, right?
That's
that's the same way. I am inviting you into my house. I know that inviting you and doing that is going to make you come to my house. And then now that you're here, I'm like, I really don't want to like deal with you because you're here. So I'm going to kill you and dismember your body and then throw you in the dumpster. That's a pretty terrible thing, isn't it?
Dang.
Don't you think that's pretty bad? I mean...
Yeah, it's terrible.
That's pretty oversimplified, but it's kind of...
Forcing a living being to live in poverty.
Hey, guess what, though? Don't get preggers.
Yeah, I mean, that's the entire argument.
And then there's also adoption. So, and I mean, I know I'm not saying adoption's all that good, but there's plenty of people out there who have been adopted and they've had better lives besides being killed.
Yeah, okay. But I haven't been able to like voice my entire opinion yet.
Yeah, okay. So, yeah, keep going.
This is a lazy way of putting this.
Uh-oh.
My whole thing is, truthfully, I think it should be illegal, but realistically, it's probably going to be legal at some point anyway. Because, really?
I mean,
well, okay. Not. I chose the phrasing wrong.
Depending the state.
Yeah, I mean. Yeah. People are going to get an abortion one way or another, and people are going to get pregnant one way or another. But if you look at it, I would rather a life not have to suffer for the rest of your life, because it's going to make a child suffer if you're going to.
But is that really is that your decision than the person who's?
Well, no. That's why I'm saying. That's why I'm saying I can't really make a strong argument for or against. Because I just haven't done any research or thought about it. It's not a part of my, life. And that's an irresponsible thing to do. And I'm going to be upfront. Like, that's irresponsible. I'm making an irresponsible decision on the whole abortion thing. I can't, like, pretend to be an expert on the field or be, like, a perfect human being. And I can't pretend that my decision is going to make people happy. Right. So my thing is it's gonna be legal somewhere, or even if it's not, people are gonna try for it anyway, and people are gonna get pregnant because they're just dumb.
Yeah, I mean, I feel this is kind of I think this would be a cool solution. Yeah. Cool solutions. No, this would be a cool solution to it. Sure. Is okay. You make it so that an abortion is like, unless of course it's gonna kill the mother or something like that. Obviously that might be okay. I wanted to have a child, but if I have this child, I'm going to die, then okay, maybe you might have to get an abortion this time. Obviously, that would be after a certain point, because you would have to know that before a certain point, but okay. But what they should do is if somebody gets pregnant, instead of getting their abortion, then, you had the pregnancy, because you just made bad decisions, right? So you have the baby, and then, of course, it goes to adoption or someone adopts it. Or because there's plenty of people out there who can't have children. So then you go on some kind of list for people who are like looking for a child. I'm like, okay, well, this person is pregnant and they don't want the child. So when that baby comes out, it'll just go straight to you. Instead of even going into the system, it'll just go straight.
The interesting thing with adoption, though, and like I said, haven't done a lot of research. The interesting thing with adoption is I've seen a lot of posts on the internet about
people being abused. Yeah.
Abusive parents are the ones that get the adopted child, while the parents who weren't going to abuse it don't.
Yeah, that is an issue.
And orphans also don't, and this ties in with the argument that I had. Orphans don't really, they can lead good lives, but while they're in an orphanage, they gonna get effed up somehow. Like mentally, like I'm unloved, or I'm in an orphanage. I hope someone adopts me, and I'm just not loved because I was given up.
Yeah, but here's the thing. So because I understand, and also something that probably is going to sound effed up is, Jeffrey Epstein and all that stuff is kind of like adoption. Kind of, I think, was a part of that whole thing. I'm gonna go and say that I think that whole adoption, you adopt a child and then it goes to a family that's kind of on that stuff, and then it's kind of like now the child is really in a bad situation.
Yeah,
but all right, I think, right, if that happens, like if you're a female or a two people, right, so you have the mother and the father because they're both people, right? If the person keeps getting pregnant and they're like, I don't want the child, I don't want the child, I don't want the child, after like the second or even after the first one, if you're like, oh, I don't want the child, then you have to pay some kind of fee or something, right? And then this money goes into
orphanages and stuff.
Yeah, to help, either help promote, like, or not
because
promote.
Because right now
but,
it's just charity.
Yeah, help build up the orphanage, or like maybe whatever, so that money can go.
A lot of them are in bad states.
Yeah, and then that way the child will have a better living situation, and this will prevent people from constantly getting pregnant for no reason, because they're going to be like, I don't have to.
Because then they have to live with the mistake that they made.
Yeah, because they have to pay it's almost like child support, but for both the people that were, you know what I'm saying, in the situation. So I mean, that would probably prevent a lot of people from doing that.
In the future perfect world that hopefully we build, that money should go towards therapy, because an orphaned child is probably going to need a lot of therapy.
Maybe. I think they will if it's like a bad situation, but I feel as if the money is there and the money is going to the right things, the child would probably actually be, the mental thing won't be an issue, because they'll have the good education. They'll have the children, they will understand they're in the orphanage, but they'll have the good education.
Children are going to ask questions when we're there. I'm not saying that it's going to be every child, but I'm going to say that a lot of children would ask the question.
What question?
Why the fuck was I abandoned?
Well,
why am I not loved?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
they'll. Why am I here?
I'm pretty sure they'll know that. Why can't I get adopted?
Yeah.
I think.
Why does God hate me? Why does life suck so bad?
I think that'll, that is like kind of going to be obvious once they're, in an orphanage and they grow up and they're like, oh, well, I'm in an orphanage.
Well, yeah, but
that's kind of how they grow up.
You're kind of throwing away the X amount of years that they live there.
It's like 18.
Those questions going unanswered.
It's 18. They go in there when they're 18, they get kicked out. So that could also be a thing that the money goes to if they're constantly having to pay for it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that the money should be there for therapy if they need it. Because a lot of them are probably going to need it.
I mean, I think that I really think the whole therapy thing is kind of overused. Like, I don't think you'll need therapy if you grow up in a household where you are.
But they're not growing up in a household.
No, in a house living space, I guess, where they're being taught like properly. If they're not being like,
That's true.
oh, your parents hated
Yeah.
you. If you're not being
So what you're
constantly
saying is
reminded
if
about
they,
that.
yeah. So what you're saying is if they grew up in a more favorable position, then the questions won't hit as hard.
Yeah, it won't matter because like,
Yeah.
oh, my parents dumped
It
me, but I
sucks.
live here in this
It sucks,
place,
but my
and I have
situation
all these,
could have been a lot worse.
yeah, and I have all these like I guess
Essentially.
brothers and sisters or whatever, and
Mhm.
the head person, they're pretty cool.
Right.
It's kind of you remember that anime? Fucking what was the anime called? Fucking with the orphans, and then
The Wonderland place.
Yeah, Promised Wonderland.
The Promised Wonderland.
So it's kind of like that, but stripping out all of the monsters and demons,
Yeah.
but just the part where they're in the orphanage and they're living a nice, awesome life. That part, as long as that part is there,
Yeah.
then it'll be, But I mean, of course, all the other stuff
That
outside.
is a weird thing because, like, and this is getting a little off topic. So
Right,
I'm
we're
sorry.
going so deep.
No,
into
no,
it.
I'm saying like, can you really appreciate something good if you don't understand what bad is?
Well, no, I think you can. I think
Can
you
you?
can because if you're a child, like once again, when you're a child, there's nothing. You don't know anything. You only know whatever you're taught, right? So of course, if you're taught like properly, because I have to say, because people aren't being taught
I
properly.
guess.
If you're properly taught and you understand, okay, this is how things are, and then this is also a thing, and it's not really a good thing, but this is how some people feel, but this is like the right thing that you should do, and you get both sides of it, then you understand, okay, this is not a good thing, and this is a good thing. You know what I'm saying? But if you're being taught that this bad thing is a good thing, and then the good thing is a bad thing, you're going to be effed up in the head, like that kid that and he's like, they, them, though, but you told me. Because the kid
Right.
doesn't know any better. You only know what
But
what
then
you're
it goes
taught.
like, but if you don't, so how do you grow thicker skin if you don't get bullied? How would
Because
an orphan child grow up to be stronger than a non-orphan child if
because you're taught these things, right? You're taught that, okay, you don't need to be coddled. Like the world is not a simple place. It's not easy and soft. The world is hard and difficult. And if you are taught at a young age that you need to work hard in order to accomplish anything, or everybody isn't going to be nice and friendly to you, and you gotta all these stuff. If you're taught this as a younger age, as you grow up, it'll just already be stuck in your head, and
Right.
you'll know this. You know what I'm saying? Like, I guess I can't. Oh, actually, I can't use it for my own self. When I was younger, I was taught some things that were incorrect, but I kind of learned them on my own that they were incorrect. And because I luckily learned them at a younger age, I was able to bring that up with me as I grew. Of course, there were some things that I weren't taught, and then I kind of had to figure it out on my own. But luckily, I was able to comprehend that, and I made a lot of mistakes. And with those mistakes, I just learned. But if you learn it at a young age, as you grow up, it'll kind of stick with you, and you'll just grow on that, and then hopefully you'll teach your children like that. But if you don't, then you kind of effed up your kids. But yeah, that's pretty much how you learn it at a young age, and then like if you learn how to fight, then you'll learn how to fight later on. Hopefully, if you ever need to use it. I
guess. But going back to abortion,
Yeah.
in the current world, it's hard. It's really hard for me to come to a decision.
Yeah.
It's really because I can see in the current world, I can see the pros of abortion for the child in question, but in another perspective, it's better that it be illegal.
Okay, let me put it this way, right? So that little meme that I had at the beginning of this.
Mhm.
Okay, this is only funny because it's kind of
True.
not true in the sense that it's a supply chain issue,
Yeah.
but true in the sense that Alex Jones said that they take aborted fetuses and use them in weird, crazy experiments.
Yeah.
And that's kind of true. It's true.
Yeah.
So they do take aborted babies and use them for weird, fucked up shit. And
Those
that's
pizza
why
parties that Obama would have are
that those were an abortion. That didn't have anything abortion. That the probably not necessarily adopted kids, but kids from other countries. So, like, you know, let's just an example. Let's say.
Is that something we
let's
should
just
talk
say
about?
a family
I'm sorry.
coming
was
over.
Was that too over the line for the other thing that we're streaming on?
No.
Okay.
We're not saying.
I don't
You just
know
said
what-
a pizza party. What's
I don't
wrong with the
know-
pizza party, man?
Okay, I didn't know-
The pizza party was only
I also
$65,000. I mean,
I also said the
Obama is
person-
only the worst. I
Yeah.
mean, the best president ever.
That's exactly what. That's the part that I was.
His husband.
That's
I mean,
the part that I was
wife.
questioning.
You know, he's my favorite
Yeah, but-
president of all time. Let me stop.
So was that human trafficking then?
Yes. What? I didn't say anything. Anyways, let's
So no, I can't.
can't.
I can't. I still can't. Like I said, I've heard too many arguments in different directions.
Here's
Like,
the
it's-
question, right? Would you be okay with, you know, people just being able to have free abortions and doing what? Because these are extremes. I'm just going to go with the
Free
extreme.
abortions.
No, let's say if everybody had the ability to get an abortion at like freaking Walmart, like it was just like
No,
super
I'm not
easy to
okay with
get, but those aborted fetuses were going toward weird, crazy, terrible experiments that were just inhumane upon
I think I'm more in
unimaginable.
line with what you were talking about. It should.
Or would you be in favor of it being illegal, unless, of course, the mother's going to die, but being illegal generally, and then if you keep having these situations where you get pregnant and you don't want the child, then you just pay like child support, both parents, because, you know, you can't just one person make a baby by themselves. Two people have to
Right.
pay that. So both of you are paying child support on that baby that you keep having. So would that be... Which one seems like it would be like a
problem
better
I have
situation?
with it is just too. It's too morally. It's not black and white. You can't say.
So you're saying just because the kid might have a bad life, we should kill it? Yeah, the child might have a bad life, so we just might as well just kill the baby.
Well, yeah, but that's not the only. That's not the only argument to be had there. But I can't give you a good argument on the pro. But now you're putting me. You see, that's why I have a problem with this. You're backing me into a corner because you have a better argument. And true, that should mean that you win in the end. But let's say someone else came in here with an even better argument that you had. Does that mean that their views on abortion being legal perfectly fine? Does that mean that abortion being legal?
But
a
the
good
argument,
thing?
right? Because the argument, the only argument, like I've never heard an argument that trumps the whole concept of, hey, you know, because okay, so the argument it always is like, oh, what about rapes and incest and all that stuff? And it's like the vast majority of abortions come from people having babies and then not wanting to have the baby just because they made bad decisions, and that's the argument. Like, just don't do the baby making thing, or just don't get pregnant.
Okay, so
you know?
let's say
all
that you've convinced me to say that abortion should be illegal. But the problem is we don't live in a perfect world. And
Yeah, we don't.
Those women who... There's two problems with that argument. The problem is, realistically, they're going to find a way to get an abortion anyway.
Yes, they will.
And if we eliminate that, then there's the other problem. It should be illegal so that you're going to cheat the system anyway. I don't know.
Well, I mean, okay, so it's not the Roe versus Wade thing isn't going to make it illegal. It just makes it so that the states, you know, make the decision. And of course, there's New York and California. Automatically, they're going to be like free abortions for everybody. So yeah. So
Then
if they want to have an abortion, just go to those states and have your abortion. Then okay, whatever. But I mean, in the states that are like illegal, don't live there. Then I guess I don't know. Whatever. Just go have your
It's
abortion.
one of those moments in which I kind of wish Travis was
Right.
Well,
yeah.
we had a third voice at least.
Right, yeah.
Like, I just
well,
kinda
you
wanna-
already know what he would
I
say. He
already
would
know.
definitely be on my side with
Yeah.
this. I mean,
He would.
He would be, but I mean, it's just like, I mean, I like the argument of like the child might have a bad life, so we should just kill it is kind of like, that's kind of fucked up.
It's effed up, but it's also true.
I mean, not really,
And
because
yeah, it is. They're gonna have an effed up life.
not really, because there's plenty of people who have been
Yes, but they're not. There's plenty. The key word there is plenty, but not all. And you don't know if the majority, because you don't, James. You do not know if the majority of them are leading good lives or the majority of them are leading effed up lives. You don't. You can't possibly know that.
But the thing is, right?
Yeah.
Still, I would rather, for me, I'll just say I would rather have a fucked up life than just be killed. You know, for me, I would.
Okay.
I would rather.
Let's put it into my perspective
Yeah.
here a little bit. I wish a few months ago, a cat got ran over in my neighborhood that I've known since I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
I wish I would have had the strength to take the shovel that I had in my hands at the time to just end it, because its spine was crushed and it was in suffering for like a whole 10 minutes while it was dying. I wish that I had the strength to say it's effed up, that I wish I could say that I had the strength to just end its life there. But imagine that kind of life only strewn out for like your entire life. Like, you just suffering because you just weren't loved as a child or had a decent life, and that's the world we live in.
Well, okay. I don't think that's like
It's
if you've been ran over by a vehicle and like
it's the same if you look at it in the perspective of the suffering in that case, not being in physical pain, just
see, that's what I was gonna say.
It's not the same in the sense that you've been run over by a car, but it's the same in the sense that you're going to have
a rough life.
You are going to have a really effed up life in this world. In this world.
Okay, so right, life is not easy. I've had a pretty rough life.
Even if you weren't orphaned.
I mean, I'm pretty sure it's
gonna be effed up.
There are lots of people who have had pretty rough life, and the thing about life, right, is it's not easy. It's not going to be easy for anyone. Yeah. And so when you go through life, you have to learn and just get tough. I mean, like if you have a physical issue like the cat, okay, then that might have different things, but that's still your decision. Like you, the person, that's your, like the cat was like, kill me. Okay, I'll have to figure out a way to kill you because I don't know if I could actually pull the shovel. I don't know if I'd be able to do it. If the cat was saying kill me in English, I'd be like, oh fuck, it's a talking cat. But anyways,
I wouldn't have had the strength even if it wasn't talking.
Right? I mean, but like having a difficult life, I mean, that's normal. That's normal life. Like, but life is difficult. Like, you know what I'm saying?
For a lot of them, it probably extends beyond just having a difficult life, James. For some people, it might, I don't know. It just might be even worse than that. And then there's the fact that there's human trafficking, but I don't know, man. I guess we'll just have
I
think you're right.
We'll just have
your argument's right, and you have this more solid argument. I think that I am wrong for the decision.
I mean, it's okay for you to have a different opinion. I'm not saying right or wrong.
Apparently, it's not for some people, but especially since it comes to abortion. And honestly, I think I should have a stronger argument to be made for the decision I have, but at the same time, I'm also technically undecided. If you were to ask me right now, rationally, I think abortion...
Like I will say, like when I was your age, I was also undecided, but I didn't know anything about abortion. I didn't know how abortions happen.
Technically, my life, where I'm at right now, I'm still forming a lot of serious opinions, right?
Like I didn't know how they worked. I didn't know the science behind it. I thought it was just like a clump of cells. It was like a blob inside the body, and then they were just removing the blob. That's what I thought. I didn't really think too deep in it.
If you think that's how it is.
But after I learned what it was and how it, and I actually saw a video of an abortion, I was like, okay. And then I was like, never. No, you are not doing a fucking abortion. What the hell? No way.
Right.
No, I'm against it. Like, so after I learned like about it, I was like, I can't.
I will concede that.
I can't
it's
do
probably, it might be better for it to be illegal. From that point of view.
I mean,
but up until today, I used to seriously think that it was just a blob, not a living thing, until I saw it too. And then I was like, technically speaking, it's not actually, it's not a living thing until no, that's not how that works. It's a clump of cells. It's not how that works. That's not how that works. But
I couldn't, man. That's nauseous. Okay, but let's
we
go
have
on.
Spent way too much time on this.
That was so long.
You know,
but that's a good topic.
We could probably expand a little more on that with guests on a bite later or something.
Yeah.
Fading away. I'm not gonna make it to the end.